What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. I wanted to analyze the results and the metagame of the Limitless Showdown, which took place on July 23rd. It was an online event open to everyone on Play.Limitless, ran by the Limitless team, and over 300 people played in it. And I think this is a really good depiction of what people are thinking is strong for the World Championships and also the London Open, and any other events you might be playing in this format. Before we get into the video, shout out to PotownStore.com, the best place to get PTCGO codes, PokemonCard.io, where you can share deck lists and find deck lists from other community members, Beast Coast Pokemon, a collaborative Pokemon YouTube channel featuring myself, Aaron Cybertron Zhang, and other great Pokemon creators, CardTrooperGames.com, the best place to pre-order physical Pokemon TCG product like the Lost Origins set coming out in September. You can use code CELIO for 5% off at CardTrooperGames and PotownStore.com, and also use my affiliate link in the description down below when shopping at Dragon Shield for Dragon Shield sleeves, my favorite sleeves, and happy to be working with them. Also, be sure to subscribe to this channel for daily Pokemon TCG content. Now let's get into the Limitless Showdown results. So let's look at the metagame. That's one of my favorite parts to do. The most popular deck was Arceus Inteleon, but not by much. Palkia Inteleon had 54 people playing it, and AI had 57, so essentially there's no significant difference between these two decks. They're pretty much tied for being the most popular deck, and you'll see a huge drop-off from AI and Palkia down to the next two decks, which are also pretty close, Mew VMAX and Dialga V-Star. Very surprising that Mew VMAX and Dialga V-Star are the same in popularity. That's quite surprising. So pretty much the brackets I'd put this in terms of popularity, strictly popularity. The tier 1 popularity would be Arceus and Palkia. The next tier down would be Mew and Dialga. And then the next tier down would be Arceus Flying Pikachu, Mewtwo Control, and Ice Rider, and then everything else below. So Arceus Inteleon, 57 people played it. It had a positive win rate, and Palkia Inteleon also had a positive win rate. The next four archetypes did not have positive win rates. Calyrex, Ice Rider Calyrex, VMAX did. And then from there, none of the other decks with 10 or more players had positive win rates. Now let's take a look at the standings. So Arceus Inteleon, the most popular deck, did win, and Palkia Inteleon, the second most popular deck, got second. Arceus Duraludon, however, got third. Arceus Duraludon, I think, is still underrated by the community. I still think it's a good deck. It doesn't have a lot of skill expression, and it doesn't have a lot of deck list. It doesn't have a lot of ways you can make the deck list unique, at least that we've seen so far. So that does keep players away from it. They feel like they don't really control the outcome with this deck, but that doesn't make it a bad play. It doesn't make it a bad deck. It is still very good and can get these results. You know, it won Milwaukee Regionals. We see it get third here in a 300 plus person online event with a lot of good players. You know, Pedro Torres here. Alex Hamilton is a consistent performer, especially in online events. Vinny Fernandez, a consistent online performer. Marco Cifuentes, Lucas Oldale, you know, more than enough good players in this event to make these results fairly valid. Then we go down, we see Mew VMAX got a top 8 finish here. One more Arceus Inteleon, another Palkia Inteleon, and then we actually have a Arceus V-Star Mewtwo V Union deck. So let's take a look at this one here. So Arceus Inteleon with Mewtwo V Union. This one I did take a look at prior to starting the video just to kind of get an idea of what they were going for with this deck, and it got top 8. So we'll also look at the matchups from this deck, but this is the most unique deck in the top 8, and I imagine they liked it for the ability to use Psysplosion. to just put this 310 HP Pokemon out there and take multiple prizes on smaller Pokemon on the bench, or clean up Pokemon on the bench that were not knocked out yet, or maybe even spread damage to 2 Arceus in the mirror match so that they can't Cheren both of them up. It also has Final Burn for 300 damage, so that's also a very valid reason to include this in the deck. So they went 9-3, placing in the top 8. Now let's look at what their matchups were. They lost to an Arceus Inteleon, and then they lost to Palkia Inteleon, and then in top 8 they lost to that same Palkia Inteleon again. The decks that they beat include Mewtwo V-Star Lunarocks, Regigigas, Inteleon counters, Palkia Inteleon, 2 more Palkia Inteleons, Arceus Duraludon, an other deck, which is kind of a turbo Palkia with Vikavolt type thing. And then they also beat a Mewtwo Control, which would make sense because they can spread the damage around to everything, and they can pop the Mewtwo for 300 damage, so that makes sense. Okay, so back to the standings. Let's look at the first place list. So Arceus Inteleon here with a pretty basic build. They are using Dunsparce and Manaphy. Really, Dunsparce and Manaphy are essentially just Regigigas techs, and I wouldn't play them myself. It probably helped them out a lot here against this one Urshifu Inteleon that they faced, though. And, you know, winning that round 2 could be the whole difference between their tournament run going well and their tournament run going poorly. So maybe it was the correct decision for them this day to play the Dunsparce Manaphy. They do play double Pal Pad, which is great because you have to play double Pal Pad now. Ever since you know, the group of players that played the list that I also played at NAIC came out with the double Pal Pad thing. Now if you go into the mirror match with just 1 Pal Pad against a double Pal Pad, you lose. And that was essentially what was happening at NAIC. So I think double Pal Pad is correct now. Other than that, 4 Quick Ball, 4 Level Ball, 3 Ultra Ball, 2 Incense. Not playing any Capture Energies, which is fine, but Capture Energies do help. And other than that, nothing really notable. But Arceus Inteleon is a really strong deck. This is a fine list for it. It also has to be piloted pretty well. And here we have Palkia Inteleon. Let's see. So we've got 4-3 Palkia Inteleon with Hisuian Heavy Ball with the 4 Sobble. So definitely different from Isaiah Bradner's list. They are playing the Cheryl and only 3 Irida here. Also playing both Marnie and Roxanne for cross switchers, just 1 boss's orders. No Pal Pad. They are playing the Echoing Horn, just 2 Scoop Up Nets. They are playing Chilling Reign, Inteleon, and Galarian Zigzagoon. Take note of that. 1 Choice Belt, no other tool, no tool scrapper. They lost 3 times throughout the tournament, which were against Mew VMAX, Arceus Duraludon, and Arceus Inteleon. And notably, the 3 people they lost to were in top 8. So this player did not lose to anyone who was not up to snuff. We've got Pedro with Palkia Inteleon. Now, his is going to be a little bit closer to Franco Takahashi's list, playing the Capture Energy and the Rare Candy. So the Rare Candy to allow you to put down Inteleon Sword and Shield on turn 2 to get 2 trainer cards, as opposed to just Drizzle for 1 trainer card. Which can be huge, especially allowing you to make big cross-switcher plays. And also playing double Training Court, no Path to the Peak. Very interesting. Let's take a look at the Mew VMAX list. 3-3 Mew VMAX, plays the Oricorio. No funny business in the supporter lineup. Yeah, this is just... oh, okay, so they are playing Trekking Shoes instead of Rotom Phone. But other than that, no funny business. I guess Pal Pad is a little funny. The Pal Pad is questionable. Maybe that could be either Pal Pad or Silene, but other than that, the list looks fine. It looks basic. You know, I don't really have many thoughts on Mew VMAX lists in general. It looks fine. Logan was able to be the token Mew VMAX that made top 8. Let's look at more Arceus and Teleon. This one's playing Avery. Avery's fine, but a lot of times it doesn't actually matter that much against Palkia because they'll just refill the bench anyway, and Marnie is more impactful a lot of times. They are playing Tool Scrapper. They are playing Choice Belt, so they're playing Tool Scrapper that gets rid of Big Charms, and they're also playing Choice Belt, which is a damage mod, which our other list was not playing there. They are also playing 12 Energy. Only one Pal Pad, though, so they're limited on the Charon's Carings. We already looked at the Mewtwo V-Union aside Arceus V-Star list, and then lastly we just have a Japanese player with Palkia V-Star also playing that Capture Energy, also playing the Rare Candy, playing one Path to the Peak though, so a little bit different than Pedro's list. Playing the Hisuian Heavy Ball, even with the full 4 count of Sobble and Palkia. They are playing 2 Sword and Shield Inteleon and 2 Chilling Rain Inteleon, notably 2 Scoop Up Net and no Galarian Zigzagoon. So, I'll also just scroll down here. I'm not going to cover the top 32 decks here, but you guys can, you know, visit these tournament results on play.limitlesstcg.com. We'll just look at a couple notable things. Vinny Fernandez was the highest placing Flying Pikachu, playing either exactly Azul's list or very close to it. I think this is exactly Azul's list. So Vinny Fernandez ended up falling to an Arceus Inteleon, a Palkia Inteleon, and a Darkrai actually, but doing very well against the general metagame. And then I also wanted to look for the highest placing Dialga V-Star, since Dialga was pretty popular. It was just as popular as Mew, but the highest placing was actually 3 people at 6 and 3, 6-3 drop. So yeah, the Dialga V-Stars actually did not do very well, unfortunately. And I think we should also just take a quick look at the Mewtwo V-Star with Lunarocks here. So 4 Lunatone, 3 Solrock, and wanted to open this up, and a 2-2 line of Mewtwo V-Star getting into the top 32. This deck isn't getting much regard in the competitive sense right now, but I have seen it doing pretty well in several online events and it getting a decent amount of play. So maybe we shouldn't write this one completely off. Maybe it's better than than the competitive environment really thinks. But in terms of the metagame, Arceus Inteleon, it's my favorite deck right now too. If I was going to Worlds, which I'm not going to because I don't have an invite and I'm having passport issues anyway, so I couldn't go even if I did get those last points at NAIC. So I also won't be attending for the Open. Spoiler alert. So Arceus Inteleon, I think it's just so safe and it's so down the middle. It's like the Zoro pod, it's like the Drampa Garb, it's like the Yveltal EX. It's like all of the, it's like, you know, the deck that's just right down the middle and you can reasonably attempt to beat anything. And players really like that, especially when there's some skill involved as well. So Arceus Inteleon has about a 50-50 to Palkia Inteleon, maybe slightly less if the Palkia player plays perfectly, but I know even Pedro Torres said he has to work on that matchup from Palkia's side. Arceus Inteleon has a 50-50 to Mew. It has a favored to Arceus Flying Pikachu, which is the deck that just won NAIC, so that's good. And then it can pretty much just beat anything by using Charon's Care a bunch of times at worst case scenario, or even Roxanne Path or Marnie Path. Palkia Inteleon, I think, has the most raw power right now, but it is a very known deck. It is a very, you know, practiced against deck, and Mew VMAX had also suffered from that a little bit in the last format, and even more now that it's a deck that is a very known quantity. But I do think Palkia Inteleon is the best deck in format, with Arceus Inteleon right behind it. Mew VMAX is definitely a little bit more fair now. It has problems against Palkia sometimes. Palkia can just dish out too much damage. It has 280 HP, and Arceus Inteleon gets to a point versus Mew VMAX where it has solidified its board and really can't be stopped because it has 310 HP with big charms and can use Charon's Care every turn. Arceus Flying Pikachu is probably the third best deck right now, maybe fourth. It's between this and Mew VMAX. But Arceus Flying Pikachu can answer Palkia. It has Charon's Cares, so if it goes first, it can gain and keep the tempo versus Arceus Inteleon. Um, but Arceus Flying Pikachu is a little bit more draw based. You know, it plays Bibarels and Crobat and whatnot, as opposed to the Drizzile engine. So you are a little bit more susceptible to poor luck or getting really lucky, as opposed to Arceus and Teleon, which is more down the middle, and that's more my ball game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video analyzing these results. You can find these results by going to play.limitlesstcg.com, clicking tournaments, clicking completed, and then clicking the Limitless Showdown July, which had 339 players. Congrats to Andrej Skubal from the Czech Republic for winning, and the runner-up being from Japan, third place United States, fourth place from Spain. Like, this is amazing. I really think a lot of people take the online community of the Pokemon TCG for granted. Please don't. Like, this is amazing. Thank you so much to Limitless for doing all of this. Potown, also the sponsor of this event, sponsor of my channel as well. We have a lot of great people trying to keep this community going and succeeding and progressing every day. So shouts out to everybody who does their part. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.